And welcome back to the long, inevitable, everlasting wait of the 32nd episode of the Tom Retro Chronicle. And yeah, I haven't been able to do this for a good long while. I know, I understand. I understand the animosity that I will probably soon get, maybe. But sadly, I have been busy with other stuff. Work has been pretty much busy. But really, pretty much other than that, I don't really have that much of an excuse for that. But you know what, whatever. But yeah, pretty much biggest reason why I kind of stopped doing podcasting was pretty much because work was starting to get pretty busy with back to school and all that stuff, and I don't know. I kept on. I believe on that 31st episode, which was back in September of oh my god last year, but um, I believe I mentioned that I was going to try to get back into it, but obviously you can see that it just didn't really happen that way. So I don't know what else to say about that, but I'm trying to do things a little bit differently. I actually found out pretty much the Windows Movie Maker version that I have allows me to do my own narration so that I don't have to um, go to Audacity to record my voice and do all the do the other necessary stuff, and then wait a good possible 25 minutes for that to get finished encoded into MP3, and then have me put this onto Movie Maker, and then wait another 20 to 25 minutes for me to just for this video to be finished, and then have that be ready for YouTube to be uploaded onto YouTube and for all of you to see and enjoy and take in my vast knowledge of stuff. But hopefully I can try to make sure I can do this thing at least once a week. I will try to. There is just not really that much of a guarantee, however. Pretty much work still takes precedence over this. That's pretty much the biggest reason. I mean, pretty much I have to get paid, all that stuff, to pay bills and feed myself, take care of myself, take care of my apartment and stuff. So if I don't do this, or at least twice a week, you'll understand why. But I will hopefully try to do this at least once a week. Try to get back into the swing of things with that. Talk about whatever I really need to talk about. But yes, so now that's pretty much that little bit is pretty much finished. Oh man, it's been quite a wild 9 months since I last did something in regards to podcasting. Pretty much that whole September into October was kind of crappy because work was just kind of stressful. People not showing up to work made me agitated because, I mean, if you're going to call in sick, I mean, I can respect that. I mean, if you have something like an emergency, like a family emergency, or you're just sick and you don't want to get your sickness all over all over me and my coworkers. I mean, I totally understand that. I dig that. But there has to be a fine line. I mean, if you decide to not even show up to do a job that pretty much management has given you this opportunity to work and get paid, just don't even just don't bother. I mean, if you're gonna do that to me and my fellow coworkers, just just tell management. Just tell them I don't really want to do this, and just be like, I'm done. Okay. You know, and pretty much, it took um, it took management quite a while to really update the whole absentee policy, which pretty much right now it's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, the people that they have hired going on right now are pretty lenient on being there on time, at least being there. So I can't really kind of complain about that much, but um, the winter itself here in the glorious city of Fargo, North Dakota, the 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 putrescent cesspool of weather-related activities. It was a pretty shitty winter, and it wasn't necessarily the snow. I mean, the snow was. I mean, in terms of normal winters, it was at least below average and stuff, but it was essentially a cold winter. I mean, pretty much around January 6th of this year, there was a low temperature of, if you applied that wind chill, it would be about 60 below, and that's minus 60 below. It's just absolutely nuts. And I don't even think it really even got above zero for pretty much a good part of January. I mean, it was just an awful winter. It was just, you just, you just couldn't handle it. I mean, it was just so bad that cars just couldn't start. You know, um, pretty much had to step out of your office just to be on your coffee break, just to make sure that your car starts. If not, pretty much it just does not even really want to go. And if you're basically like me, by the way, where I live at is kind of over in North Fargo, and where I work at is it's kind of close to the West Fargo um, um, city limits. Kind of, it's um, how city zoning in this city um, kind of confuses me, but essentially where I live at is on the right side of Fargo, so we still are under the Fargo tax tax uh, um, tax laws and stuff, but city ordinances and stuff. But essentially, essentially, my car didn't start around. I think it was January 5th. It was on a Sunday, and January 6th was like on a Monday. I could be wrong, but let me just go try to find that on here. But anyway, um, I thought to myself that, hey, look, this card couldn't possibly freeze up pretty much in this type of weather. My manager pretty much told us, hey, if you're gonna go on your break, you might want to make sure that your car starts because it's cold as hell outside, and you have to do it to make sure that you get home all right. And pretty much the stubborn idiot that I am, which at times I am kind of a stubborn idiot, but I essentially disregard the idea because I don't usually take 15-minute breaks at work, but in terms of lunch breaks, I do take those quite seriously. But yeah, I didn't bother to do that, so yeah, that kind of sucked. But and I was right. I guess it was January 5th through January 6th. But anyway, so I had that pretty much. Then the next day I had to go get a tow truck, and then to get that, and then the next day pretty much I had a repairman that pretty much me and my mom have gone to since pretty much we moved to Fargo in the early 90s. Good guy too. We trust him a lot, so pretty much I had to get a new battery for that, which actually didn't end up costing us that much. So yeah, if there was any lesson that I learned during that time was pretty much you have to make sure that pretty much if it gets to at least 10 to 20 below, you might wanna start your car and get warmed up, make sure it starts, and stuff. So yeah, I love winter. I know most of you don't really. I don't think most of you have ever seen snow, but essentially I hate snow, but I hate cold and I hate winter. And this is basically someone who lives in this area. So, yeah. I love to complain. So then pretty much the only really big news that I had after pretty much the winter pretty much began the whole slow rise of temperatures to basically where it was. It actually did get up to at least 90 degrees earlier last month, and that was quite a surprise. It actually did kind of feel good, at least, but let's see, how much time do I have left here? Okay, about 11 minutes or so. So, yeah. Then about around April, I decided to go into the smartphone world, and I got myself an iPhone C. It's the baby blue casing and stuff. I haven't gotten a case for it, but maybe I might try to do that sooner or later. But usually I'm pretty careful with my phones and stuff, so in truth, this is like my fourth phone in at least about 6 years. 4 phones in 6 years. So it's actually not that bad. It's actually not that bad at all. So, yeah. I don't really want to give out my phone number. So, if you're gonna ask for it, don't bother. Don't bother to ask. Okay, so yeah. Let's see what else is here I should mention. Some sports news that pretty much happened pretty much as of late. Um, the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Chuck Noll dies at age 82, and and honestly, I have so much respect for Chuck Noll. Pretty much pretty much kind of my favorite, probably my favorite era in the NFL was probably at least the 60s and the 70s. I mean, pretty much. I mean, you pretty much had the gritty defenses, the uniforms, the the rough and tumble stuff, and the hair, the the mustaches, and the sideburns, and the wacky hairdos and stuff. It was kind of wild. It was pretty wild indeed. But yeah, Chuck Noll. He was. When did he? When was he? When did he resign or get fired? I believe he got. I believe he resigned in '92, and depending on what time that would be, it would be about 3 to 4 years old, something like that, when he resigned, and Bill Cowher took over for him. But yeah, essentially Chuck Noll is probably one of the best coaches to have ever coached the game. He essentially was the head honcho for those '70s Steeler teams in the playoffs, in the Super Bowls. I mean, he pretty much single-handedly defeats the great Tom Landry, who is also quite a good coach too. So I believe he was, at the time, he was pretty much the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. I mean, I believe he got the job in '69, pretty much back when the Steelers were pretty much the pits of the pits. No pun intended, of course. But sorry about that. But and pretty much within 3 years, he pretty much took that team into the playoffs and got the Steelers their first playoff win, which of course was the immaculate reception, which to this day I believe that pretty much essentially to this day I believe that pretty much the Raiders were um, um, the refs just didn't like them that day, and somehow or another, pretty much the whole Steelers dynasty was born. Pretty much 2 years after that, when they won Super Bowl IX against the Vikings, and then the year later against the Cowboys in round one, and then pretty much 3 years later, when the Cowboys and the Steelers met again, and Terry Bradshaw defeated once again Roger Staubach. And then the year after that, was pretty much one of the last great Steeler teams, the 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers, which they faced against the Los Angeles Rams, and pretty much single-handedly defeated them as well. Then pretty much after that, pretty much it kind of Chuck Noll kind of went into obscurity. The Steelers went into obscurity into the 80s. Pretty much the players that helped made the Steelers great pretty much retired at the end of their careers. Terry Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, Stallworth, all those names, all those players from long ago. And pretty much the legacy of Chuck Noll is that he was probably one of the few coaches to pretty much last so long in the NFL. I mean, pretty much spanning at least 4 decades. I mean, he was pretty much the whole organization. He was the general manager. He was the head coach. I believe he might have been the president at one time. I know it was the Rooneys that owned the Steelers, and which they own the Steelers to this day. But Chuck Noll was just basically a great man. I mean, he pretty much did it all by himself. He helped draft one of the best draft classes pretty much of all time, which pretty much included almost all of the Steelers' defense that pretty much helped them win those 4 championships. I believe that was the 1971 draft. I believe might have been something like that. Have to look that up, but L.C. Greenwood, Ernie Holmes, Dwight White. Yeah. I think it might have been 1972. That was the yeah. But anyway. Yeah, this going into another subject. I have a couple minutes left, but the Stanley Cup champions for this year are the Los Angeles Kings. Their second championship in their franchise history. Their second one in 3 years. Last year's championship was the Chicago Blackhawks. So congratulations to them, to the Kings. Great season. I kind of wish it was kind of more of a 7-game series, but oh well, I guess you'll take what you get, I suppose. But yeah, congrats to the Kings. I am just about out of time for you all tonight. It's almost 1:30 in the morning where I am recording this at. There's some thunder and lightning outside, so we might get some rain and stuff. But yeah, so until next time, stay safe and enjoy your Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day, fathers. Later, alligators.